You're looking better, and congratulations, of course. How do you actually feel?
Well, I feel quite good, but on Sunday I got a very bad dose of the flu. It just came on me very quickly when I arrived home. I was only in the door half an hour until I was struck by this desperate flu, and I had to get the doctor. I rang him up and said, "I'm dying. Please come and help me." So you've
been fighting it off, I suppose, before the fight.
Well, I'm up to my eyes with. Very good, Michael. Thanks very much. You have to give me a couple of seconds. I've taken a few punches, you know, and that's my excuse.
Yes, I don't have that excuse, not yet, anyway.
Yeah, well, not yet.
How are the eyes? Do you dare let us have a quick glimpse?
Well, the eyes are well healed up. They're, you know, if you think that's bad, you want to see them on Saturday night.
Now, last week you knocked a hole in our viewing figures, I must say, because we were on at the same time. 100 million watched the fight, most of them rooting for you. Do you feel there's a psychological advantage for the underdog in that?
No, I don't think so. When you get in there, you never think of the crowd, or, you know, everybody can cheer for you, but once you get into them ropes, you're on your own. I mean, there's absolutely nobody can help you except yourself and your own ability. So no matter what anybody says, there's no such thing as a psychological advantage when you get into fight. When you're in there, you're on your own, and nobody else can help you.
How do you have? I mean, you don't have to psych yourself up for the fight.
No, absolutely no need to do that. I don't believe. A lot of people say you have to. The Americans say you've got to psych yourself up, but I don't agree with that. As far as I'm concerned, you either have a killer instinct. You either can fight or you can't fight.
What do you think about as you walk through the crowd to the ring?
Well, that's a good question. I try not to think of anything. People are going crazy around me. Everybody's screaming and shouting, and there's hysteria everywhere. But I think I'm probably the coolest man in the house. But I just try to say to myself, like, just take it easy, keep cool. You know what you've got to do. Just try and do it when you get in there. And I try to keep as calm as possible. But it's very, very difficult now when the national anthems are sung and there's it's delayed. It goes on for so long. But I just keep my fingers crossed that I can always keep cool before I get in there, because once you lose your cool, you lose everything.
What about fear? The fear of actually getting hurt?
I never think about being hurt. The one thing that I fear is losing, because again, you lose everything you've trained for and everything you've worked for years and years, and that's the only thing that concerns me when I get in there. What happens if I lose? I lose everything. It's the security of the future for my kids and everything. I'm afraid of losing that. It's not the fear of losing or getting hurt itself. I mean, the pain of Saturday night. It wasn't the pain. It was. I thought maybe I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't put on a good enough performance. And that was, my pride was hurt in that, but there was no pain. I don't feel anything.
You mentioned your kids. Your family were watching. What was their reaction?
Well, my wife was absolutely petrified. I think she got a bit of slag in the papers there yesterday and the day before about screaming. She loses control. She's so wound up, and she screams and shouts. She doesn't think of what she's saying. But I'm sure she didn't shout "kill him," because that's completely against her nature. She wouldn't do a thing like that.
She might have been saying it to the other guy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. We're very good this far, yeah.
Is there a history of boxing in your family?
None whatsoever. None, at least inside the ring. My dad done a little bit, but my old grandfather was very, very good at it. And I think I get my big hands and my long arms and that from him, because he was a bit of a freak. He had big shoulders and long arms. Every suit was too short for him, as is mine, folks.
See the size of your hands against your face. I mean,
they're very, very big. Yeah.
If you'd been 7 feet, you would have been a great goalie, wouldn't you, as well?
Yeah, when the big man was handing out hands, he gave me a good set, yeah. And, no, my grandfather had always had a very bad temper, and I remember one time we used to work together, and I worked with him alongside me when I was working with my mother's. He worked in my mother's shop for 25 years until he died a few years ago. But he was a very bad-tempered man, and I used to weigh spuds and fill the shelves and all that sort of thing. And I remember one time, myself and my brother, he gave me a list of things to do in the morning. He said, look, fill the potatoes, put the beans up on the shelves, brush the yard, and then you can go on. So it was a Saturday morning, of course, and myself and my brother went away out and we played a game of football. He said, come on. I said, no, Papa said do it. No, he says, don't worry about Papa. He was a bit of a lark, a messer. So off we went out anyway, and we played our football, and I came back, and we were sneaking in through the back door, and I'm opening the door, and he says, don't worry about it. So I said, oh, he'll be waiting on us. So he opens the door, and I bumped right into him, and I looked up, and there he's standing. He says, did I tell you to wait for this? And I said, yeah. So I'm back. And he says, you didn't wait? And I said, no, I had to play a very important football match. So he winded at me, and I ducked, and he hit the shelf. he broke his thumb in 2 places. So after that, every time afterwards, he used to say to me, don't get me mad now. Do you see what you've done to me, Tom?
Connected, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, you were a little tearaway, were you, in those days?
I was an awful child. I remember we used to... I nearly give my mother a nervous breakdown. I remember they used to come in and say to her, Ms. McGuigan, we don't want to alarm you. This is when I was 2.5 or 3. We don't want to alarm you, but your son's on top of the pole in the diamond. And my mother would say, oh, that's old hat, like tell me something new, you know.
But the pole, what sort of height was it?
It was about 30 feet, and I used to sit on top. And I remember another great habit myself and my friend had was we used to climb around. We used to climb around the rooftops. Like, I mean, my house is 36 feet high, and we used to climb along the slates. And the neighbours used to complain and all to my mother, "That son of yours will kill yourself," you know. And I say, she'd give me a whacking for it and saying, "No, don't be doing that anymore." So, of course, every chance I get, I was up and walking around the roofs. And I remember one day we were walking around, and our next door neighbour, he was an awful man for complaining. We climbed over the galvanised roof and then down the slates. And as we were sliding down the slates, I jumped down onto this old asbestos roof, and I happened to hit the middle of it. Thanks be to God. Well, my mate behind me comes sliding down. He dropped down, and I says, "Right, come on." So he slid down. He dropped down the right hand side of me, and before I could get my head turned, he was gone. It was the old Delph asbestos, and he disappeared down. He'd fall down about 20 foot into bottles underneath, and I don't know how he survived without a cut, but we got him back out again. And of course, we had to fix the roof and all that, and I got an awful scolding for that, but that was typical of what it was like when I was a child.
Now you're a rich and famous man. Has being such a close-knit family helped to keep your feet on the ground?
Well, first of all, I'm not rich and famous. Get that idea. Not yet, anyway. My family are very good for keeping me. Apart from that, the Clonus people are great for helping me keep my head about myself. I come into town, and some of them might wave at me, some of them may not. They just nod and say, I'm just one of the crowd. So the family are great. They keep my feet on the ground as well. And I try to help out as much as I can around the house, and with my mother's house as well. She's just got the house rebuilt after the fire, and we're trying to help out as much as we can. And
so you're back on the roof again, are you?
So I'm not back on the roof anymore. Not for a while, I hope.
What about your next fight, then? You're not going to be training hard for a while, but... or
well,
sparring?
My next fight will possibly be in June. Maybe early June, late May. Possibly the United States. Possibly Dublin even. We just don't know at this stage. I'd like to fight for the junior lightweight title. That's 4 pounds up on my own weight at the minute. I think I can handle 4 pounds and fight comfortably at that weight. And I think I can win the second title, and that would be something really important to me.
Well, again, congratulations on what you've achieved so far, and happy birthday for next week. Barry McGuigan.
Thanks very much, Mike.